Alright folks, let's talk crypto. So ever since the inception of Bitcoin in 2011, the world has been seeing that cryptocurrencies hold a great amount of value, and ever since then cryptocurrencies have been growing and new tokens and new names have been coming into the field by the clock. There are thousands of different coins right now, and the common misconception about people in the crypto world, especially people who are not very knowledgeable about the field or getting exposed for the first time, is that they just see a name in the cryptocurrency like Ethereum or Polkadot or Cardano, and they think that's just a different currency that has the same intrinsic value as other types of currencies that works with a similar mechanism. And I think for the people who are interested in decentralized finance and cryptographic monetary systems, it is important to understand how different these cryptocurrencies are from each other, what makes them different, and what these differences imply for their inherent value. So one of the first important things that we need to understand is what blockchain is being used to trace or to value the cryptocurrency. For example, Bitcoin has its own blockchain, which means Bitcoin has its own separate ledger, a list of information of transactions, which I already talked about in a previous video. You can find the link above. Ethereum, on the other hand, works on a completely different blockchain. So just because you own Bitcoin does not mean that your information about Bitcoin is stored in the lists and the public ledgers that Ethereum is running on. So that's a different list, it's a different blockchain. So when it comes to a blockchain, another token, let's say Cosmos or Dash, or any what they call as ERC20 tokens. These are tokens that are essentially being run on the Ethereum's blockchain already. So they don't have a specific list or ledger itself. They're using the ecosystem that's already being built on Ethereum's blockchain to be able to give certain specific functions. So especially with the DeFi tokens, the aim here is to create these codes under already existing blockchains like Ethereum, to start being able to offer people functions and services that traditional banks used to offer. Like what kind of services does a bank offer you? They give you credit, right? And then they ask you to give that money back with a certain amount of interest. Well, now without a centralized group, we can do that. There are certain tokens that are specifically, their aim is to be able to do that. Another function that a bank does is to give you interest on your money when you store your money in the bank, right? So there are certain tokens that specific aim is to be used as a value to do that. For example, compound. You just stake, that's what they call it, staking. You stake your compound. You basically give it to a pool of individual people. You create a pool, and just because you leave your money there, which is being used in between people's transactions, you get a certain interest out of it. So there are functions like having a mortgage or swapping tokens from each other, just like how when you go to a bank and you want to swap US dollars to euros, for example, they can do that swap for you with a little bit of a charge for the service. So it's important to understand that not all tokens are created equally and not all tokens have the same goal, which makes this entire cryptographic revolution in finances very exciting, because the end goal here is to completely leave the banks behind and have essentially a ecosystem of multiple different tokens with different aims, where people are using financial services without a need of a central overseer or a central controlling power. They just do it in between each other. And the most beautiful part about it is, since they are being done on a public ledger, a blockchain, everything is transparent, everything is public, and there does not need a central power to be regulating and setting up the rules and enforcing certain rules on anything, because it's all done on code. Long story short, if you are interested in investing in cryptocurrencies, or if you're already investing in cryptocurrencies but you feel like you don't exactly know what you're doing, it is important to understand the intrinsic mechanisms of how a coin or token works and what the aim of the token is in general, so that you can get an intrinsic value, or you can understand the purpose of the coin. And that would be tremendously helpful for you to decide which technologies, which coins, which blockchains, which applications on blockchains that you want in the future to exist and to have a value, rather than just blindly choosing names and three-digit numbers or three-digit codes like BTC, ETH, whatsoever, and look at daily graphs and try to estimate and gamble which one's values are going to get higher and which one's values are going to get lower. And one analogy would be, if Bitcoin were to be today's gold in the financial world, and Ethereum, some people would be saying that it's silver. No, it's actually more like the S&P 500, because a lot of different coins and a lot of different functions are working on the Ethereum blockchain, which makes it very valuable. Whereas Bitcoin's value comes from the fact that it's, first of all, a big name. It's the oldest cryptocurrency out there, just like gold is the oldest money out there. And two, its supply is capped. So it's 21 million Bitcoins is the maximum amount of Bitcoins there ever will be, dictated by its code, which at this point cannot be changed, which means that no matter what happens, the supply will be limited, unlike some other coins who are being mined in an indefinite rate. So that is something that gives it an intrinsic, unique value. And you guys should do your own research to understand the intrinsic value of every single coin that you're being invested in. And you would love the subject, so you should go check it out.